you've got to move away from your Allah and your Rasul to something else, another standard. We can't do that. Now some people in our community, of course, have done that. They think it's better if they do some kind of actions in this country, like going through the political system, for all the Muslims' benefit. Their intention is there, but they feel that they can leave this standard of Allah and His Messenger and take another sort of standard based on, looking after, based on the concern for the Muslims. Based on the concern for the Muslims. So in the video, on the Dispatches video, of course, some people thought that, or they think still, that the best way for us to change our situation, make ourselves better as a Muslim community in this country, we want to go through the system and change it from inside. So we're all having problems, Muslim community in this country. Right, how do we fix it? Right, we've got some standard from our Prophet and Allah. All right, but we're going to leave that for a second. But what we're going to do is we're going to work through the system. Let's do it the way people do it here, and try and change it from inside. So then we will become a better community. We get things for ourselves that way. So if we work the system, through the system, we can change the system. Is everyone clocking on? So rather than going to see what Allah and His Messenger have showed us, some of them think it's better to go through the system and change it from inside. Let's do what everyone else does, go through the system, try and change it for Islam inside. And one of the arguments which they give is that if we do it that way, we can get into power and we can help the Muslims. We can benefit the Muslims by going into this route. But brothers, I want to talk about this just very briefly. There are some problems with this though. There are some problems with this. So remember, our first point that we need to understand is the background of all this, that there is an effort by the top to the bottom to try and get the Muslim community to become a very personalized religion. Everything else, leave your Islam, leave it. It's not relevant. But in your personal, yeah, Islam's alright. But anything else, it's not. That's the first background. The second point to remember is that our standards, what we use to do something, or what we use to believe something, is Allah Azza wa Jalla is Allah and His beloved, our beloved, sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, so our Prophet. So these two are our sources. They are the things we use to know what's right, know what's wrong, what to do, what not to do. Oh, we'll have to do this, or we'll have to not, and so on. Or some people think, right, we can put that away, just that's not going to help us. We're going to go through a different way. We're going to go through the system to try and change it. Now, one argument they give, as I said, is to get the benefit for the Muslims. If I go through the government, the system, I can benefit everyone. All right, what are some problems with this? Very, very quickly. All right, brothers, there are at least two problems with this. One, there's the what we call the intellectual problem, a problem to do with our ideas, and a practical problem. So there's a theoretical problem, and there's a practical problem. Right, what's the theoretical problem? What's the problems of idea? What is the intellectual problem here? What is the rational problem here? The problem is this. Okay, if we are not allowed to believe anything we want, if we are not allowed to have any kind of belief that we want, yeah, we can only have it what Islam has told us to believe in, yeah? What happens if we're going to go through the system is that we have to accept some of the beliefs that the system has. Like, as an example, if all of us, if we believe in Allah, if we believe in God, we believe in the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, if we believe in the Quran, if we believe in angels, if we believe in all these things, if we believe in halal and haram, if we believe that some things are wrong, some things are right, according to Islam, how can we fit that with some other beliefs? Like, for example, you can follow non-Islamic laws. How does that fit with the idea that we have where we have to follow Islamic laws? What about the idea that you can believe certain things that would be against Islam? For example, if you join a particular party, perhaps you might have to accept as being correct. Maybe homosexuality is a point. you have to maybe consider that to be right. So if you join a political party, for example, you may have to take on their ideas and their beliefs. So if that party believes that you're allowed to do anything you want, that means if I go through that party, I'm going to have that belief. But that belief will go against my Islamic belief. They contradict. So which one do I take? I'm in a bit of a pickle now, isn't it? Which one do I take? Do I leave the Islamic one, and do I take the non-Islamic one? You see, so there we run into problems. So there we run into problems, little brothers. That's the first point. And the practical point. How do we know for sure that if we go through the system, how do we know for sure that maybe some of these people did in this video? How do we know for sure that if we go through the system, suddenly we're going to get lots of mosques? Suddenly the war in the Muslim countries are going to stop. Suddenly we're going to get more halal shops. Suddenly we're going to get Muslim hospitals, more Muslim graveyards. How do we know we're going to get this? Can it be guaranteed? To think about that. The other point to think about is that, well, we tried in the past. We voted certain parties in. We tried to vote in whatever, Labour, Conservative in the past. Some people now jumping into Liberal Democrats, yeah, the yellow colour. Some people voting through these, and they realised that by voting them in, it turned out to be worse. It turned out to be worse. So everyone was thinking that if we vote a certain political party like Labour or Conservative, they're going to help the Muslims, but we find out we've got more problems with the Muslims, we've got more wars. We've got this government that wants to monitor Muslims. How is it that in our benefit that they're doing that? Yet Muslims voted them in. So brothers, there's two aspects there to realise. That one, it's a problem on our thought level. We can't bring the two together, it's hard. And the other is the practical level. How can we, if we take on these political parties and go through them and go through the government, how are we going to be guaranteed to get our benefits? It's not guaranteed that we're going to get our benefits. So we know, for example, that is not certain. Just because you're going to go through the system, you're going to get your Islamic rights. That is not the case, brothers. In fact, we're finding out that we're losing more rights. A lot of our rights are disappearing by using and voting these governments. So those two things, it's important that we remember, and it comes out in that video. It comes out in the video that, look, these people who try to work through the system for the Muslims' benefit have now been told what you're doing is wrong. Even though you're going through the system, they've been told, no, what you're doing is wrong. Only because you want to help the Muslims. Because you want to help the Muslims. They didn't like that and they said, that's wrong. You are a terrorist, you want to establish Islamic Republic in East London, Tower Hamlets. Can you see what's happening? It's a no-win situation. If you go through the system, you play by the rules, you're still branded as a criminal. You're still being exposed. So where's the win situation? Where's the benefit? You're playing by the rules. Imagine playing a game now, you're playing by the rules. It's just because the ref hates you, he gives all the fouls against you. He gives all the offsides against you, even if you're not offside. Is that fair? So it means, brothers, that going through this system, it's not helping. It's not helping us. That's not the way forward. That's not the way forward. You can use the system as much as you want, it's not going to benefit you. So those are the points. But before I sort of end, I also want to touch on a few things. Now, having mentioned this, having mentioned that the background is that really Islam, there's a program, an aim to change Islam to fit a certain way in this country. That is to make Islam your personal thing, but not make it comprehensive. Once we understand that background, once we understand that our standard, our maqayis, our criteria are the Islamic standards, Allah and His beloved, our Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then we remember that working through the system brings up problems for us. One, in terms of what we believe, and in terms of practicality. Can we really get our benefits and our rights by working through the system? And can we have still have a correct Islamic aqidah and belief by going through the system? Can we be consistent? Can we have both together? We just looked at that. The